Hi, my name is Amber Ramirez, and today I'll be talking to you about my analysts within men's and women's basketball. So first, table of contents, we have introduction, physical demands, key performance indicators, common limitations, relevant information for success, of course, evidence-based training and injury prevention, sample of microcycle, training strategies as a collegiate coach, exercise demonstrations, and of course, conclusion and key takeaways. So first we have introduction, which is basketball is a 5v5 fast-paced invasion sport played worldwide, requiring athletes to combine technical skill and tactical awareness and physical resilience. Players must sprint, jump, change directions, and maintain a high-intensity efforts while coordinating seamlessly with teammates. The sport demands are both physiological, taxing on ATP, PCR, aerobic, and anaerobic energy systems, and strategically relying on communication, cooperation, and adaptability against opponents. Main purpose of the presentation is to explore sport performance strength techniques in basketball that enhance athletic output and reduce injury risk. By examining these physical demands, key performance indicators, and common limitations, we will build more or less a framework for evidence-based training strategies. For physical demands, we have explosiveness, we have speed and agility, and we have endurance, strength and stability, and work to rest ratios between men and women. For explosive, we have that its frequent vertical jumps relate mainly to rebounding, shot blocking, and finishing around the rim. We have speed and agility that goes towards short sprints within 1 to 5 meters, rapid accelerations, and change of directions every 2 to 3 seconds. Endurance, sustaining performance across 40 to 48 minutes of play with an average heart rates between 18 to 89 of maximum. More or less, men are going to be on that higher range of that percentage. Normally, men are at that 89% of maximum heart rate. And then we have strength and stability, lower body strength for rebounding and post play, core stability for balance and contact situations. So finishing with the rim, you get a foul, but you're basically able to, finish getting, 2 point and one and still being able to knock down that free throw shot. And then, of course, for work to rest ratios, we have men are at that 1 to 4 ratio, so short bursts followed by a longer recovery. And then, of course, women are normally going to be more balanced, but they're right under them. It's going to be 1.18 to 1, nearly a balanced live versus stoppage time ratio. For physical demands and impact on training strategies, energy systems training. So we have ATP PCR training, quick, agile, explosive bursts. We have aerobic conditioning supporting those recoveries between explosive efforts, and then anaerobic power training, enhancing game specific bursts. We have the management, so load management, training must replicate intermediate demands, short, intense drills within a structured recovery. Then we have injury prevention integration, sense explosive changes of direction, stresses knees and ankles, proprioceptors, and neuromuscular warm-ups are essential for training specifically for basketball. For KPIs in basketball, we have explosive and power, agility and change of direction, strength and stability, and aerobic and anaerobic capacity. So for the first one, we have that vertical jump height mainly kind of predicts towards rebounding, anything of shot blocking and finishing abilities. Sprint speed is critical for fast breaks, defensive recovery, and even a first step quickness. So kind of like coming out of the wing and just a quick one dribble pull up to a shot, having a quick first step as a guard is extremely essential. And then testing methods for this KPI would be counter movement jump. It could be anything from 10 to 20 meter sprint test and a 3/4 sprint. Then we have a agility and change of direction. Agility drills that I'm honestly fond of would be the T-test 5 to 10, 5 shuttle, and then lane agility drill, which this one is also mainly used in the combines to test how agile a guard is. And when I say guard for NBA, it's going to be anything from point guard, shooting guard, forward, to center. So every single position or person that goes to the NBA combine is doing the lane agility drill, which mainly reflects to the ability to cut, shuffle, and defend when you're on the court. And then, of course, guards are especially relying on agility for ball handling and defensive coverage. And then training strategies will be cone drills, resistance sprints, and reactive agility games. For the third one, we have that lower body strength would be squats, anything from squats to deadlift performance, which would correlate with jumping and sprinting. We have that the core stability is extremely important and it's essential for balance, contact situations, and injury prevention. Testing methods could be 1 rep max on the squat or on the bench. We have training strategies can be trap bar to deadlift, squats, lunges, anti-rotation core exercises. Like I think it's called the power lift exercise. That's really good. It teaches you how to have a stiff trunk and making sure that you have like a good core and you're not moving, you're not really breaking that you're bracing your core. And then for aerobic and anaerobic capacity, we have aerobic fitness, which would be the VO2, yo-yo intermittent recovery test or beep test, which supports recovery between explosive efforts. And then we have anaerobic power, which would be blood lactic clearance, repeated sprintability, which predicts the ability to sustain a high intensity bursts. So for KPIs within positions, we have a point guard, shooting guard position. Their tactical KPIs are normally either assists, steals, 3-point shots, or 3-point percentages. Physiological KPIs, they're more agile, faster accelerations, and they cover a lot more distance. For centers, for tactical KPIs, they're more about rebounding, inside scoring, and of course, they are typically stronger, have a higher vertical jump, and they're more like stabilized within their trunk. And then for forward, we have that they're kind of like a mix of both, but they're basically their tactical KPIs are versatility, high speed runs, and their physiological KPIs are power, speed, endurance. Normally, we have that the forwards are more or less sprinting down the court, getting a full court pass from a guard, and getting a quick bucket for the guard. A good assist for the guard. For common limitations and injuries in basketball, for men's basketball, but to be fair, men's and women technically have the same type of what's this thing called injuries. There's not a clear difference, but for the sake of the presentation, I will just separate the two. But for men's basketball, we have ankle sprains, which are most frequent injuries due to rapid cutting, landing, and contact. We have knee injuries, muscle sprains, muscle strains, sprains, and patellar issues from repeated jumping and deceleration. We have hip and groin strains, which are common in explosive lateral movements, like defensive positions, and full court presses, stuff like that. And then normally the mechanism for that would be contact with an opponent, awkward landing, maybe an awkward landing after a dunk, or it could be that they're shooting a 3-point shot and someone gets under their feet and they twist their ankle, and high repetition of explosive actions. Moving on, we have women's basketball, which normally have more ACL tears. This is severe for women athletes, high time loss injuries, ankle sprains, lateral sprains during cutting and rebounding. They have lower back pain, overuse from repetitive jumping, and truck rotation. Their mechanisms are biomechanical differences, so valgus knee, collapse wrist, maybe hormonal influences, and high intensity demands. For preventive measures and injury reduction strategies, we have neuromuscular warm-up, which mainly they're focusing on dynamic balance, agility, and plyometric drills, which will reduce ankle and ACL injuries by 36%. We have proprioceptor training, we have single leg balances, which would enhance joint stability and posture control, strength and stability work. So it could be anything from squats, lunges, Nordic hamstring curls, calf raises, which will improve lower limb resilience, core stabilization, planks, anti-rotation holds, which will protect the spine and improve landing mechanics. Then we have plyometrics and landing techniques, jump and hold landings, lateral hops, depth jumps, which would train safe deceleration and shock absorption. Load management, monitor training volume and intensity to avoid these overuse injuries. And this integrating recovery sessions would have anything from stretching, foam rolling, mobility, any light aerobic work would be good for these basketball athletes. Specific injury prevention techniques and exercise. So for neuromuscular warm-ups, the main benefits would improve movement quality and reduce ACL ankle injury risk. For proprioceptors and single train and balance training, their benefits would be enhancing ankle stability and posture control during these rapid changes of direction. For strength training for joint stability, their benefits would be building lower limb strength, improving deceleration mechanics, and reducing hamstring and knee injuries. Plyometric training with technique focus. This would train explosive power while reinforcing safe landing mechanics. Then last but not least, we have core stability and trunk control. Their benefits is to mainly protect the spine, improve balance, and enhance transfer of force in dynamic movements. Now I'm going to just demonstrate you 3 movements that I am right here. So this one, we have a lateral bound to a stick. This is going to be a plyometric workout that basketball players can use. Then we have a single leg RDL that can be used for ACL prevention, also ankle ankle prevention as well. This would be really good for basketball players as well. And then we have let's go 3 minute and 17. It's right here somewhere. We have the plyoff exercise, which is really good for core stability, trunk control. And it's just a really good exercise to use. I know that when I was a basketball player, I used this one constantly. But let's go back to the workout. Let's go back to the presentation. Right. All right. So now moving on, we have the sample microcycle for basketball performance. Personally, I picked hypertrophy and general strength. Yes, because I've found some evidence towards that, but also it seemed like in a way the more rational one out of all of them. This one emphasizes to build foundational strength, aerobic, anaerobic base, and correct any imbalances within the off season. My rationale was mainly that it was off season, provides time for higher training volumes without game stress. For the evidence sake, research shows that hypertrophy and general strength work reduces injury risk and improve vertical jump and sprint performance. For preseason phases, I picked strength, power, and specific preparation, mainly because since it is preseason, there's probably about 1 to 2, maybe even 2 months and a half about to go into season. We need to make sure that these athletes are prepared to that load of the load of in season, because now we have practices, we have games, and we have individual work, and we're most likely going to have of course, strength and conditioning work. So this phase would emphasize maximizing strength and power, integrating sport-specific drills, and enhancing neuromuscular control. My rationale was that athletes must transition from general strength to explosive basketball-specific movements. The main evidence I found was that plyometrics and Olympic lift derivatives improve jump, height, and sprint speed, critical for KPIs in basketball. And of course, last but not least, we have in-season phases. I was more focused on power, speed maintenance, and injury prevention. Emphasis on maintaining gains, maintaining fatigue, manage fatigue, preventing injuries, and optimizing readiness for each player. Main rationale was that athletes must sustain explosive performance while balancing recovery and game demands. And the main evidence I had found was that in season maintenance at 75% one rep max, preserve strength without excessive fatigue, neuromuscular warm ups, reduce ACL and ankle injuries. Right. Yeah, so then we have training strategies as a college sport performance coach. My methodologies would be periodized programming. So I would focus my programming on off season, preseason, in season. Like I've said, off season I would focus on building strength, hypertrophy, aerobic base. Preseason transition to power, agility, and basketball specific conditioning. In season, I would want to maintain that performance. Would want to maintain performance, manage fatigue, and emphasize recovery as much as possible. For evidence-based training, the use of KPIs for vertical jump, sprint speed, agility test. I would use agility tests to guide programming. Integrating the approach, I would combine strength, conditioning, skill work, and recovery into all of a unified plan, which mean I would have to collaborate with the coaches, with the athletic trainers, with the nutritionists and sports psychologists to make sure that the athletes are getting a well-rounded plan for their specific for their season, to make sure that they're good on actually every aspect and every level of their being. And then training strategies as a collegiate sport performance coach, um, for continued for techniques, we have strength and power development. So any use of trap bar, deadlifts, squats, lunges, which would build lower body strength. We will have agility and speed training, reactive cone drills, 5-10-5 shuttle, lane agility drills, short sprints from 5 to 20 meters. And of course, we're going higher to see how fast they get or if they're getting better with a change of direction emphasis. Injury prevention integration, we have neuromuscular warm-ups, jump and hold landings, proprioceptor balance drills like single leg RDLs, the ones that I've shown you. I think it was about 4 or 5 slides ago. Nordic hamstring curls and calf raises for lower limb resilience, which also I found out that it's actually one of the most important ones, Nordic hamstring curls for basketball athletes. And then for recovery and rejuvenation, we have active recovery sessions, which would be anything from cycling, foam rolling, mobility circuits. I didn't add this one, but I also saw that swimming would also be a really good active recovery for athletes if they want to just have a light day and they just want to go out and swim. That's more than a good exercise to do. And then, of course, one of the most important ones, optimizing sleep. That's the best recovery that you can do with an athlete. Sleep is one of the most important ones. Nutrition is also extremely important. I think they kind of go hand in hand. Sleep and nutrition do go hand in hand, and we need to monitoring to the optimized adaptation. So sorry, I stuttered there. And then for considerations, we have individualization. I would want to create programs for guards, for forwards, for centers, and of course for guards, it would be mainly like agility, endurance, forwards, versatility, center strength and jumping. But I would also want to make sure to target all their weaknesses. So that would be like doing more like rehab as well. And then I would want to adjust their loads based on the athlete's readiness and injury history. So of course, if we have a freshman coming in, they're not getting as much points, or who knows, maybe we have a grad senior, they're not getting as much like playing time. We would want to adjust their loads, and whoever is getting onto the court, we may want to decrease it, not because of anything, just because they have a lot more stress. So it's just really just analyzing the stress differences. And then, of course, I would want to have a holistic athletic development. So mental skills training, focus, resilience, confidence under pressure. I would want to teach them about lifestyle education. So anything from nutrition, how to hydrate, how to manage stress would be really important for me as a coach. Communication and culture, I would really want to give them a good culture. I would want to have, that trust, that rapport within my athletes, and where they can, communicate with me, where we can foster that trust and accountability between the athletes and the staff, and not, creating a toxic culture, and really mainly just encouraging athletes to take ownerships of their development, not to be, complacent, or, making excuses for themselves, really taking advantage of, their development, because at the end of the day, that's what you're here for. You're here to play on the court, you're here to perform, you're here to, in a way, be happy, because you're never going to be happy while you're on the bench. So that's really important. And then, of course, key takeaways, conclusions. We have that basketball requires all of the energy systems. So anything from ATP to PCR, glycolysis, oxidative. We have KPIs such as vertical jump, sprint speed, agility, and strength are essentials for predictors of success. Injury prevention must be integrated into daily training to protect against ankle sprains, ACL tears, and overuse injuries. Then we have phase programming, so off-season, preseason, in-season, ensuring that athletes peak at the right time while minimizing fatigue. And then, of course, taking more of a holistic coaching strategy, combining physical preparation, recovery, and mental resilience can create a sustainable performance for athletes. Thank you.